How are we doing today? I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another video. This is Demir, and today I'd like to talk to you about a topic that hits incredibly close to home for me. I deal with this day in and day out, and I have for 11 years as a father. I'm talking about child support. It is not an issue for me to pay child support, but the issue is, how do I survive with paying well beyond the maximum limit, which is 65%, depending on your state, and still be able to afford a rent or mortgage, a car payment like the majority of folks have, but that's considered as an expenditure. It's not afforded to us, so the courts don't care. But this is a topic that many men around the world, from my studies and findings from many Google searches, is struggling with, from Australia to New Zealand, to Canada, and to here in the continental United States. But let's go ahead and jump into something and watch this little clip here from Judge Judy.
You have a child with him?
Yes.
That's not your child. That's both of your child.
child.
No, just a second. That child is both of yours. So either you take the child or he takes the child. He's the father no less than you're the mother.
In my case, here in Ohio, when my kid's mom and I separated, the courts instantly awarded her sole custody. I, as the father, was told I pretty much had no rights. I was to do a paternity test, which I had to pay for out of pocket, and not being able to afford legal assistance, I got screwed in the situation. Let's go ahead and continue hearing what she has to say on this.
So,
Because then he told me he was going to take Lila with him at 1:30 in the morning.
just a second. So he said, if I'm going to leave my house, if you're telling me to leave the house, I'm going to take my daughter with me.
Even though I have sole legal custody of her?
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No. At that point, are you telling me you had a court order giving you legal custody of your child? The answer is no.
No.
In most cases, the father would love to take his child or children with him. But 9 out of 10, he is demonized in a situation, whether it be physical altercation or what have you. And then when it goes to the courts, too many judges hand the children over to women when the law states, it's a standing law, that there is to be joint custody first.
At that point, you're the mother, he's the father. He has as much right to take that child as you do.
Sadly,
That's
that
not
is
what I've
not
been told,
always
but-
the case.
Well, if you've gotten different advice, you were mistaken.
Okay.
In this country, fathers are not second-class citizens. I know there are a lot of people out there, including judges and probation officers, who still don't get that message, but fathers are not second-class citizens. Sometimes they're actually better parents. Not always. Sometimes it's 50-50. But it's on a case-by-case basis. But anybody that says to me, can't take my daughter with him, it's not yours. It's both of yours. You make her together.
Let's now jump into this article from Snuff.co. This is about a gentleman in New Zealand who's going through what one of millions of men around the world are going through. This man has to pay $450 a week in child support for 3 children under their current system. But his partner has a son from a different relationship that the old system recognizes. And when he notified the courts of this, he got an increased living allowance of $17,000 a year to $23,000. Under the new system, that son will no longer be recognized as a dependent child. So his living allowance will decrease to $17,000 from the $23,000. But he said he still did not expect his child support payments to increase in the first place. He received a letter from the Inland Revenue saying his payments would increase to $550 a week from $450 a week. It's a whole another $100. He said, considering one of my children will soon be 19 this year, the new supposedly fair system will be in effect that the receiving parent's income is now taken into account. I expected a similar or less amount to pay. To find my assessment has actually gone up $2,272 per month was shocking to me. That is ludicrous, folks. His payments jumped up a whole $100, and the courts, they don't care about this. How was he to survive? Remember, just like you and me. He pays rent, a mortgage, or he rents. You gotta have the lights on. You gotta have water and utilities, so electric or possibly gas. And yet, the courts don't care. Let's not even think about, frivolous things like a car payment, cable, cell phone, internet, So let's also add one of the major ones that you have to have, car insurance. And God forbid he has an accident under his belt. But let's move forward. Next on our agenda is an article from the New York Times about a gentleman from Colorado who has to pay back child support and pay monthly as well. This resident from Colorado has to pay $899 a month in current and back child support for his 15-month-old son at the time this article was written. He works part-time and only makes a measly $600 a month. And when he does the math, he feels like he is drowning. I mean, can you blame him? This guy was earning $48,000 a year as a technician for a communications company. For some reason, he was evading payments. And then he lost his job, and then his driver's license was suspended for another unrelated incident. In 2 court appearances and that previous fall, he failed to persuade the judge that his earning potential had fallen, that the only job he could find paid only $7,200 a year. As a part of the program his caseworker has signed to help fathers in need, has calculated that he can afford to pay a whopping $350 a month. That is about 40% of what the judge ordered. In the past decade, child support collections from the estimated 11 million fathers who do not live with their children have nearly doubled. It's doubled to more than $18 billion a year. Most of that money comes from fathers who have stable jobs and can afford to pay. Where the money does not come from is 2.5 million poor non-custodial fathers in the United States. According to a study by the Urban Institute, nearly 30% of those men are in prison. Among the remainder, nearly half are unemployed. Those who do not have jobs earn an average of $5,600 a year, well below the poverty line. He could barely live off the $600 he was making of his monthly salary. They took 55% out of it. The maximum that child support enforcement can take under federal law is 65% of a person's salary. What the current system does is accumulate this unrealistic debt that'll cause a certain number of poor fathers to just hide. That's a quote from Geraldine Jensen, president of the Association for the Child Enforcement Support, an organization of 50,000 parents whose children are owed support. Alright, as we come to this last topic to conclude this video, this picture right here is a topic that I want to go over because it hits me right in my checkbook at home. I myself paid for a set of twins, and I would pay $900 a paycheck, and I would bring home $1,500 a paycheck. They would take well beyond the 65%. My kid's mom would look just like this lady in this picture. Designer clothes, salon hair, eyebrows perfect, flawless nails, the newest shoes. She has a nice new car. Well, I drive a beater, new cell phone, and so forth. And then my kids would show up looking like they were in an episode of Flintstones or Captain Caveman. But I digress. This article from the Cartel Report talks about a great thing, because there was times when I would often wonder where the money was going when she would try to call me or text and sequester more from me. The state of Delaware has recently brought about a new way to disperse child support funds through a child support card. This new experiment is similar to the food stamp card. This measure was taken to prevent parents from misusing funds that are meant to help with the costs associated with raising children, such as school-related expenditures, food, etc. This card will not allow the parents to purchase alcohol, cigarettes, or pay things like a car payment. The card will be used exactly like a food stamp card. For example, the article claims that they spoke to a lady by the name of Tasha Brown, who was upset after she couldn't purchase a bottle of Hennessy at her local liquor store. She says it's unfair, it's my money, I should be able to do with it as I want, or how will I pay for my weave? Oh geez, I bet that line would set Tommy Sotomayor off. Them hair-hatted hooligans, as he calls them. But anyways, if the program goes on as planned in the state of Delaware, Delaware Congress might extend the program nationwide, making it the universal way to control what parents do with their child support money. I know this would infuriate my kid's mother, but it's a just thing if you think. What is very sad is that when doing some research on this topic, there's a lot of things on YouTube about black fathers and about how a lot of them get baited and trapped, but that could be a whole nother video. And what's sad is there's tons of women out there, and this could be just viewed as my opinion or whatnot, but who trap men. I could argue that same endeavor myself, but if you look at the picture on the screen, now this is just a meme, probably doesn't mean anything true, but honestly in my situation it's pretty close to what I deal with my child's mom. It says she receives $2.5K in child support and alimony every month. I don't pay her alimony, I wasn't that stupid. You know, and she calls and texts her ex-husband's family asking for money. That is ridiculous. I used to think that I had to give her money, and then when my child support order was put into place, I was told that all the money I was giving her was to view that as a gift. That was just crazy. The sad thing is, many men have committed suicide because they've gotten so far in back taxes, and many men have been incarcerated over this, and it is high time that something is done. I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm Demure, and until next time, folks.